Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of this chess puzzle series. And today I will start with some easier problems and work up to ones that are a little harder. So let's begin. In this position, it is white's turn to move, and this shouldn't be too difficult. What would you do here as white? And so we see that black is ahead in material by a rook, and the queen is under attack by the queen and the bishop. Black is also threatening a mate in 2 here with queen to d1, and then if the bishop blocks, the queen would capture. But it is white's turn to move, so what would you do here? Hopefully you found it. If you need more time to think, then pause the video. If not, let's take a look. All right, so it says that there's a mate in 1, of course, so hopefully you found that all white has to do is just capture here on g7 with mate. So this is a common theme of creating a battery with your bishop and queen together and mating the opponent's king. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Let's see here, puzzle number 2. And today I will do a total of 8 puzzles. All right, so in this position, once again, it's white's turn to move. And hopefully this shouldn't be too difficult for you. What does white do here? And how does white win in the quickest way possible? And once again, if we look at the material, black is ahead in material. And so in this position, the bishop could check, but it would be captured, or the rook could block, but the knight would just capture the bishop. So the quickest way here is a mate in 1, and just to capture here on h7. And another common theme, using the 2 bishops to line up on the king side and backed up with a knight here, so the 3 pieces work together to trap this king and mate the black king. All right, so a checkmate in 1 there. Let's move on to puzzle number 3. All right. Let's see, puzzle number 3. Okay, white to move once again. And what is the best move for white in this position? White is ahead here by an extra pawn, and both of his pawns are very far advanced. But his the king is out in the opening. The king is out in the open. Where the black queen could start delivering checks and maybe chasing this king around. But it's white's turn to move. So hopefully you found the answer. Let's take a look. Another mate in 1. And so here, queen to a8 would check, but the king could try and escape here. But there is a mate in 1. With queen to c6 here, which cuts off the king's escape along with his own pawn blocking him in, and this advanced pawn here cuts off any escape as well. All right, well, hopefully you found those easier mate in 1 puzzles, and let's move on to something a little more difficult. So puzzle number 4. All right. So now, once again, white's turn to move. What would you do in this example here? How do you solve this puzzle the quickest way possible? So have a look. Pause the video if you need more time. If not, let's take a look at the answer. So hopefully you found that there is a mate in 2. Now, you could have mated in 3, but the quickest way is a mate in 2, and we'll take a look. So the mate in 2 is knight to f7, and then the king is forced to move here, and then a mate here. So using the king, the knight, and the bishop here to trap the opponent's king. And if we take a look at back at the beginning, the mate in 3 is the same thing, but if you move here, then this pawn is able to move. And so now, to prevent it from queening, you have to check anyway, driving the king here, and then mating on this line again. All right, well, let's move on to puzzle number 5. And hopefully you found the answers to these so far. If not, just have another look. And remember to practice and study tactics. It's a quick way to improve your chess and to get better. So problem number 5 here. So white to move, what does white do in this position to win the game? Now we see that the queen and knight are overpowering this lone rook and black king. And there are different moves here, but what is the quickest way for white to come out ahead here? So have a look at the position, and as always, pause if you need more time. If not, if you think you have it, let's take a look. All right, so the evaluation gives a mate in 2. So were you able to find this quickest way to the win with a mate in 2? Let's take a look at it. So there is a mate in 3 or mate in 4, but the quickest way is to check with the queen on f6. And now the king is trapped because of this knight cutting off his escape, so the only move is to block with the rook. But then this allows queen to h8 here, trapping and mating the black king. So hopefully you found that one, and let's move on to puzzle number 6. All right. Okay, so now it's a little more difficult. With more pieces on the board, there's more to look at. But what would you do with white here? How would you go for a winning advantage or a winning mate? So take a look and see what you can find. As always, pause the video if you need to. If not, let's find the answer here. All right, the evaluation says a mate in 2. So were you able to find the answer on how to mate in 2? And this is a little more tricky as there are more pieces on the board. And also black is threatening a mate in 1 here with queen to h4. But it is white's turn to move. So let's take a look. Queen captures on a6. So it looks like that is the way to come out with the win here. Otherwise, black would just be ahead according to the computer evaluations. But sometimes it's tricky to see these queen sacrifices. So the queen sacrifices here, and the king cannot capture because of this knight. So the rook is forced to capture. And then this allows knight to c4 here. Checkmating this trapped king as the rook here is cutting off any escape, and this knight cannot be captured. All right, well, I hope you found that one. Let's move on to puzzle number 7. So we have 2 more puzzles, number 7 and 8. So number 7 here. All right, so what does white do here? If we look at the material, black is ahead by +4. But white is lining up his pieces on the black king here with this bishop, the queen, the rook. So what can be done here? Take a look at this and pause the video if you need to. If not, let's look at the answer. So turn on the evaluation, and there's a mate in 3. So were you able to find this mate in 3? All right, let's take a look at the final sequence. So rook captures on f6 is the best move. Here, d takes e7 would still keep white ahead, but the winning advantage is to capture here. So this checks the black king, forcing him to recapture or block with the queen. But if he blocks with the queen, then it's an immediate mate with white's queen capturing. So, the best move, although it's losing as well, is to capture with the pawn. And here, either the bishop or the queen can capture on h6 with check here. And so this forces the rook to capture, and then the other piece, the bishop, jumps in, and we have a crisscrossing pattern here, which mates the black king. So I hope you were able to find that. That's an interesting little checkmate combination. And this happens sometimes, this pattern or theme of the crisscrossing bishops like this. But usually, something else needs to participate in cutting off the king's escape. Here it was his own pieces, the knight and the queen. All right, let's take a look at the final puzzle, puzzle number 8. All right, number 8. Okay, so the final problem here, this is a little more tricky. So you may need more time to figure this one out, as the position is just a mess on the board. Pieces all over the place. So this can make it a lot more tricky to figure out what's going on. In the position, black is ahead by +3. So what does white do here? White to move. How does he go about getting the win here? All right, as always, pause the video if you need more time, and you probably will, to just look at this messy position of pieces all over the place. But if you're ready, let's look at the evaluation here. So there is a mate in 3. So hopefully that helps you to figure out what to look for. And let's look at the answer now. All right. So there are mates in 4 available as well, but the quickest way to the win is rook to d4 here. So rook to d4, and the best move is rook takes d4. If the knight were to capture, knight takes d4. Well, then that would just allow this knight to move to d2 and mate. But rook takes d4. Now the knight moves to d2 like this with check. The rook would be able to capture, but then we have rook to c3 here. So if we go back, we can take a look at what would have happened if after rook to d4, if the knight captures. Well, then it was this, knight to d2 mate. Then we see how all of white's pieces are surrounding the black king, the bishop here, the rook, these knights. So, quite a messy but interesting checkmate there. And I hope you were able to solve all these chess puzzles. And remember to try to do some type of regular puzzle solving to work on your tactics, as improving your tactics, that's usually one of the best ways to improve your chess, because until you get up to a more advanced level, even 2,000 rated players or chess masters at 2,200 and above, they still make tactical mistakes. Not as many, but they still make them. So, probably everyone can take advantage and improve their chess by studying tactics. I believe even Vishy Anand, the former world champion, had stated before that he tried to do tactical puzzles, at least a few puzzles every day if he could. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Feel free to comment or leave suggestions. And have a great day, everybody. Thank you.